I've had a great time here at Kentucky. Believe me, I mean, it's what a great place Lexington is. And
Billy Gillespie speaks out for the first time after the University of Kentucky fires him from his job as head basketball coach.
WTVQ 36 News Weekend Edition starts now.
It has been an emotional 24 hours in the Solid Blue Nation. Good evening and thanks for joining us for WTVQ 36 News at 6:30. I am Carla Wade. After a disappointing season and weeks of rumors, UK fired head basketball coach Billy Gillespie yesterday afternoon. Well, this morning we heard from Billy G himself during a news conference that he called to answer any lingering questions. WTVQ 36's Dan Reaper joins us now with this Solid Blue report.
And, of course, Carla, you and I sat right here and watched it as we carried the press conference in its entirety live on WTVQ 36. While we were here, our own Ken Spencer was there and has this report.
If you thought this was Billy Gillespie's chance to strike back at the powers that be at the University of Kentucky, think again. The former head coach of the Cats took the high road every step of the way.
what do I like about Mitch? I like a lot of things about Mitch. We'll talk at a later time in detail, but...
You have to think, if Billy Gillespie would have shown this side of himself since he's been in Lexington, we may not be standing here today. Ken Spencer, WTVQ 36 News.
Yeah, Carla and I think Kent nailed it right there. The public seeing more of the Billy Gillespie we all saw today, he might have been held in a different regard.
That's right. I think you said earlier today this was his exit interview, and any job specialist will tell you don't badmouth your former boss if you're trying to go to another job. And we have to understand this was in essence his first job interview to the public right today. Whatever he may have done to damage his reputation during the time that he was here at UK, during these 2 years here in Lexington, I think it was clear that he was trying to repair some of that damage and, of course, looking forward to the next job.
Yeah, and, we talk about that other side of him that we don't get to see as much, but we saw it right here. We witnessed it as well as everyone else did, Carla, right here on WTVQ.
Well, one thing, he has been described by a lot of people a lot of different ways. A lot of people have described him as a shy and sometimes prickly man who thinks about basketball 24/7. WTVQ 36's John McGarry joins us now with more on another side of Billy G that a lot of people didn't get to see. John.
Carl and Dan, maybe it was because he felt relieved after weeks of pressure. Maybe it was because he's on a one-day vacation and he got to sleep in all the way till 9:30. Whatever the reason, Gillespie proved today he's not only a coach, but also something of a comic. Here are some of his greatest hits from today in his own words.
I had two words I was going to say, and I forgot them both. That's been consistent. I'm not into reading message boards, and no disrespect, but watching your shows or reading your columns or any of those kind of things. Is it still called a column? I'm trying to make the answers longer so y'all won't have enough time to ask so many questions. Again, I think everything's heading in the right direction for the future. I think next year's team, if they don't win every game, I think y'all ought to be on the coach all the time. I don't think that...
We'll be here all week. Note, I asked Mr. Gillespie about yesterday's meeting between him and his players, and he asked him if he thought they would miss him. He said he didn't know, but he would miss them a lot, and that he loved them.
Yeah, and we'll have more on that and Gillespie's thoughts on his players coming up in sports. But now, John, I understand you had a chance to talk to someone else who knows Gillespie pretty well.
That's right, Dan. I did. His name is Peter Warden. He is, as of yesterday anyway, UK's equipment manager. He came from Texas A&M with Gillespie, and he took on the responsibilities of Bill Kitely after Mr. Wildcat passed away. The Warden described the man he's worked for 5 years as demanding, caring, and a bit of a prankster. And of course, after the story we just ran, that last description may not surprise you so much.
We used to sit down in the equipment room and talk about that this year and joke about some of the things that he'd say to us. And, he'd just walk by and he'd whisper something to you. And you'd just be left standing there with a smile on your face and nobody else knew what was said but you.
Some would say that sums up Gillespie's career here at the University of Kentucky. Carl and Dan, back to you.
All right, thank you, John. So, of course, now the burning question. Yesterday everyone was in the sports bars watching that announcement. Now everybody's in the sports bars talking about who is going to be the next coach. And I know yesterday everybody wanted to replace Billy G with another Billy D, but yeah. He's saying it's not going to happen. What do you think, Dan?
Well, that's still up in the air. Anytime there's a coaching search, the coaches that are currently at their institutions are going to say, I'm here for now. So we'll just have to wait and see. Michigan State's Tom Izzo. He's the Spartans. His team face Louisville tomorrow for a trip to the Final Four. We have Izzo's comments coming up later in sports, and see some of the other guys here also who could be on UK's list, Villanova's Jay Wright or Pittsburgh's Jamie Dixon. But today, a big endorsement for a couple of candidates from a man who knows the Kentucky job all too well. None other than former Cats coach Rick Pitino. He was prodded to give his opinion on the coaching situation at Kentucky. Now, have you even had a chance to hear this
I've heard people talking about it, but I have not heard it for myself.
Oh, my goodness. Just take a listen.
For me, last time around, Billy Gillespie's a terrific coach. I would have immediately hired either John Pelfrey or Travis Ford last time around. And everybody loves those guys for what they represent. So you got two guys out there. You can take the whole nation. Throw myself, Tom, Izzo, and anybody else into the equation. Those two guys would be better than all of us for the job.
Wow. Pitino is not on the search committee for UK's next head coach, but he knew exactly what he was doing today when he made those comments. So we'll see more from Pitino as well as possible candidate Tom Izzo later in sports. Carla.
All right, thank you, Dan. And our 36 Listens line has been swamped with calls and emails from Solid Blue fans wanting to share their opinions on Billy G's firing, and here's just a few of them. Now, Bobby sent us an email saying that I've never been a fan of the UK basketball team. He says that the fans choose who stays and goes, and that Gillespie never stood a chance of being coached if they're going to judge him after just 2 years. He says you're not going to get Pitino back, and Donovan will not leave Florida, so get over it.
They have treated him like whatever. He's not out here hobnobbing with the rich and famous and not doing. I'm like that other woman. Rich Barnhart's one needs to be go, and so does Todd. He started out with academics, but no, now he got that sports bug like everybody else.
I think it was an excellent decision by the athletic director. Gillespie has been said to be a great coach. I don't think he knew anything about basketball. I agree with Mike Casey. I think he was in over his head. He didn't. He only knew one defense. That was a man-to-man. He didn't. He wasn't able to be flexible on the floor. He didn't progress. His team was worse at the end of the year than it was at the start of the year.
And we want to continue to hear more from you. With Billy G out the door now, who would you like to see take on the job as UK's next head coach? And you can let us know by calling us at 859-566-3688, or you can email us at 36listens@WTVQ.com.
I hope you're doing well this Saturday afternoon. We have some dry weather right now, then some storms, some heavy storms, potentially severe weather later on this evening. More minutes. Carla, back to you.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Well, we have some sad news this evening about a Kentucky Derby winning horse. Up next, how Ali Sheba is being remembered at the Kentucky Horse Park. And thousands of cities around the world are going dark for the same good cause.
You're watching WTVQ 36 News Weekend Edition.